Alright guys, well I wanted to share 5 things that I feel like if you're going to build a post frame home, you would be happy if you did. So these are things that obviously I'm not going to push anybody to do them, but based on my experience with remodeling and construction and building my own post frame home, these are 5 things that I think will definitely interest you and you should seriously think about doing if you're planning on building a post frame home. The first thing is your footings. If you're going to build a post frame home, I believe, and this is my opinion, that your posts should be out of the ground. And you can achieve that in a couple different ways. One, pouring a round footing with the wet set bracket like I did, or you can use what they call as a perma column. Those are precast columns. I talked about them in my post frame construction video, but those will keep your post out of the ground as well. And as a third choice, they make sleeves that you could, if you want to stick your post in the ground, they do make plastic sleeves that protect them and keep the moisture off of them. But I would highly recommend either a footing with wet set bracket or a perma column. And an interesting thing, when we were at the National Frame Builders Association conference, we talked to a bank, which I'm going to be doing a video here soon on it, who is willing to loan money. They're out of Kansas for post frame homes, but they have certain requirements. And there are banks that will loan money. It's just more difficult. But this is a bank that will do a construction loan, and then once the post frame home is completed, they will roll it over and can get it into a Fannie Mae mortgage, which is a very low rate, which is what you want. But one of the things they require is your posts have to be out of the ground. If you stick your posts in the ground, you won't be able to get a mortgage on that. But we're working with that bank, trying to get all the information so I can do a video. I can get you their information if anybody's interested. But that's number one, posts out of the ground. So the second thing I think you should do is, once your house is framed, you should wrap your house with either Tyvek or block it, some kind of house wrap. It is crucial that you do that. If you do nothing else, that is one of the most important things you can do, is wrap your house. It's unbelievable what that stuff is capable of doing by keeping the wind out. So if you flash your windows and tape them properly and you put that house wrap on there, that alone will save you money in your energy bill. So especially if it's going to be your home, a post frame home, to me it's a no-brainer for the amount of extra money it costs. Even if you're building a shop or whatever else, I believe you should put it on there too. And one reason is, if you decide to spray foam it, you really don't want to spray the spray foam right onto your metal. I mean, you can, it'll adhere to it, but if you ever have to pull that piece of metal off, you're going to lose all that insulation. It's going to tear it out. So, alright guys, it's 30-mile-an-hour winds outside, gusting to 50, and I wanted to show you how good this house wrap is. I don't know if you probably can't see how there's positive pressure behind there, but you can see that wind is getting behind that steel. Even though those are 3-foot sections with overlapping ribs, you can see the positive pressure in here, but none of that is coming into the house. So that is why I feel that house wrap, even on your post frame building, even if it's just a building as a shop, and definitely your home, must have this on here. It will just, that alone, keeping that wind out, will make a huge difference in your energy bill. The third thing on my list is protecting that bottom girt. I know they're treated, but it's the same concept as those posts being in the ground. You want to keep those as dry as possible. Taking rolled aluminum stock, I took 24-inch aluminum stock, rolled it out, covered that bottom girt. The house wrap went down over the bottom girt, then the aluminum flat stock went on there, and it went down, I don't know, 12, 15 inches into the ground, and then you backfill it. And any water that comes down the side of the building will never even touch that bottom girt, thus keeping it protected and keeping it from rotting over time. So I just attached it to this green board, and it went down. And that's aluminum, but I put the house wrap over the green board so that green board won't corrode that aluminum. They say it won't, but I've had it before. If you put aluminum right up against treated lumber, it can corrode. So got it lined all the way around, and you'll never see any of this. So dirt will be brought in up to a certain level, and then there will be some space, and then you'll have your bottom trim. And then what I do is I use rock for my landscape. That rock will be brought up to the bottom trim. So you'll never see any of this. But if something decides to dig, it can't get down below there. It'd have to dig like 1.5 feet, 2 feet to get below that green board. And then what I do, where I'm gonna have like a concrete porch attached to my house, the inside slab, finished slab, is gonna be 2 to 3 inches higher than the porch. You want your porch a little bit lower so there's no chance that water can run in. Obviously you want your porch slanted out, but I take aluminum and I run it just a 12-inch roll, and I run it along here. That way, where the bottom of my door is and the bottom of my trim ends, there will be a 2 to 3 inch gap before the concrete on the porch stops. So that'll all be white trim along there, and you'll see, you'll have a better understanding what I'm talking about once the concrete's in. But then that space between the bottom of the door and the finished trim and the concrete on the porch, you have a nice white trim versus your green board or your house wrap. So that's what I like to do. I mean, a lot of people don't do that. Some people probably might think that's a waste of time and money, but I think it's a great idea to keep especially groundhogs from burrowing under your slab, because that can really cause a problem. All right, fourth is a thermal break between your inside slab and the outside of your house. That is of utmost importance. I live in a condo right now that doesn't have a thermal break, and it is super, super cold in the winter, and it just transfers that cold right through that's actually on a footing wall, right into the slab, and it's awful. That cement is such a huge mass that it takes a long time to either warm it up or cool it off. But once it's heated or cooled, it stays in that state for a super long time. So the fifth thing is kind of a two-part process, and that's getting a vapor barrier and insulation below your slab. That vapor barrier, I used a 6 mil vapor barrier. I put that down. That'll keep any moisture from coming up from the ground and getting into your slab and then getting into your house and causing moisture problems. One of the biggest problems I've seen in ag buildings is where they've poured concrete and have put no vapor barrier below the concrete, and there's no insulation or vapor barrier between that and the metal, and when it's humid, that building will just sweat like crazy. So it's very important to get that vapor barrier below the concrete, because concrete's going to naturally suck moisture up, and then get at least 2 inches of that poly insulation down, and that will alone make a big difference in your heating and cooling bills. Alright guys, I appreciate you watching that video. Hopefully that's helpful to somebody, to give you an idea on some important things that I think you should do to a post frame building. But if you look at all these power tools here, these are all the main tools that I've used to build this post frame home and remodel and flip houses in the past. So these are just tools that I've accumulated over the years doing things myself, and I'm going to be doing a video not so much comparing them to other tools, because I can only compare them to tools that I've had but I'm going to go through, explain to you what I use each tool for, and just kind of explain it to you, and maybe it'll give you a good idea some of the tools that you need to obtain to do something like this on your own. So appreciate you watching, and we'll catch you on the next video.